Well, hello and welcome. My name is Mandy and my channel is Mandy Sorts It Out. And today I'm sorting out spending. I'm doing a review of my spending for the third week in October, from the 15th to the 21st. But in the week of 15th to 21st of October, I had £1 of income from a sale on Vinted. And if you've been here before, you might know I had a visitor here for the 15th and 16th of October. So I'll go through the costs of that visit first. There was some costs last week, came to £62.35. This week, my friend and I went to Leicester. We went to the Richard III visitor experience, which cost me £12.50. I highly recommend it. It's absolutely fascinating. Both the historical information about who Richard III was, the Wars of the Roses, of which he was a part, and the Battle of Bosworth and how he died. But also, when you go upstairs in the museum, there's an exhibition about how they found his body in the car park, which is absolutely fascinating as well. So, yeah, we both really enjoyed that. Then we went to John Lewis and I treated my friend to a coffee and cake. So that cost £14.15. My friend and I tended to take turns treating each other. So she organised dinner that night. I didn't have to worry about that or pay anything towards it. I paid £5.50 for the car park. And the following day, I took my friend back home. I drove her back to Wales and we went via IKEA. And I treated her to lunch and that came to £12.45. I had the plant balls, which were absolutely luscious. I really enjoyed them. I spent the night at my friend's. We ate there, and the following day I drove back home and I stopped off a couple of times and bought myself a sandwich and a coffee, and that came to £4.16. And when I got back close to my house, I filled the car up because it was nearly empty, and my friend had given me some money towards petrol, so that cost me £16.92. So my expenses for those 3 days came to £65.68. With the £62.35 from the previous week, that came to £128.03 that I'm allocating to the visitor budget. Now, the visitor budget is £300 and there's probably going to be 4 visits. So I said about £75 a visit. So I spent an awful lot more on this visit. I'm wondering if I can squeeze a little bit more money out of the budget for visits. But I really enjoyed this visit and I wouldn't have wanted to not spend on anything. So I'm not going to worry about it. It is what it is. £128.03 isn't the entire cost of the visit because I don't know how much it would have cost me in petrol to drive to Birmingham to pick my friend up and drive back again. I filled up after that, so I don't know exactly how much that would have cost me. I put the heating on when my friend was here, and I put the immersion on when my friend was here. I don't normally have it on because, well, there doesn't seem much point really. I have a water heater in the shower. When I moved here, the hot tap in the bathroom didn't work and the immersion didn't work. I think it was a good month before the immersion got fixed, so I got very used to boiling kettles of water for my wash in the morning if I wasn't having a shower in the morning, and to wash up with. And I just used to wash my hands with cold water. The immersion got fixed after about a month, but the hot tap in the bathroom didn't get fixed. I think 4 or 5 months it took for that to get fixed. I was washing my hands in cold water. I could have perhaps washed my hands over the bath, but I didn't really think about that. And also that seems a bit odd. But anyway, I was washing my hands with cold water in the bathroom, but I was washing up with hot water from the tap. But then I thought, I'm just using the immersion, this great big kettle really, to make hot water to wash up with when I could just use the much smaller kettle and the electric costs would be less. So that's what I did. I switched to using the kettles. And then the tap got replaced finally in the bathroom. And I had a hot water tap in the bathroom. And I put the immersion back on because I thought, well, I'll be using that multiple times a day. But what I found was, unless I used the bathroom directly after doing the washing up, the water took forever to get hot in the bathroom. And I'm just not a hugely patient person. So I would just wash my hands with cold water. So again, I was in the situation of thinking, well, the only thing I'm using the immersion for is to wash up, which I do roughly once a day, sometimes twice a day. And I thought, well, I'd rather use kettles. It'll save on electric. So I turned the immersion off. But I turned it on when my friend was here because there's two of us going to the bathroom. There's a lot more washing up to do. So the washing up's being done 2 or 3 times a day. And it just seemed to make sense. So I had the immersion on and I had the heating on and I turned both off when my friend left. So there is a bit of an additional cost to the £128.12, but that will be absorbed in my normal household costs. What other expenses have I got that week? Well, I spent £229.13 in total. As I've said before, £65.68 of that was on the visits. I also spent £97 on my council tax, and that's out of my housing budget. Then I spent £28.55 on incidentals. I've covered most of these in my previous video, apart from spending £13.30 on sock wool. I bought some sock wool from John Lewis. They had a bargain bin where they had discounted some yarn. This yarn should have been £9.50 and was on sale at £6.65. I bought 2 different colours. I bought this colour, which is a lovely blue and kind of orangey red with grey and cream. I don't quite know what that's going to look like when it's knitted up. And I bought this one, which is green and brown and dark green and cream. And they're both West Yorkshire Spinners wool, which is a very good make. They're 75% wool, 25% nylon. And I believe it's, yes, reared, sheared and spun in Britain. This is British wool. I didn't quite know what pattern this one would make either, but I've started making a sock. Oh dear, it's caught around my microphone. Wow. I use the magic loop method of making socks and I knit them from the toe up. But that's the pattern. It's kind of almost striped, really. I think it's lovely. So that's one of the incidentals. Then I spent £4.50 on a cushion pad for this cushion here. £4 for the light in my hall. I'll just show you a video. Now I've put that up of how it works. I've put the light up. If I turn out the light, you'll see it's not bright, but it's bright enough. It's bright enough for me to find my way in and to turn that switch on. £1 for 2 wooden stirrers, £1 for a washing up brush, £2 for a storage bag, £2.75 for a torch, totalling £28.55. Then I spent £8 on Christmas cards in John Lewis, so that comes out my gifts budget because I allocated money for Christmas cards. That was for 32 Christmas cards. I've got some left over from last year, so I'm kind of hoping that that covers me. I'll also take a number of them overseas with me, so I'll be writing them and getting them done before I go overseas next month, and then I can hand them out to people when I'm there. I also have spent £5.17 on clothes, and that's a top from Vinted. I wasn't going to buy anything. I had no intention of buying anything. I had sold an item through Vinted, and there was something I needed to do on the app, so I opened the app, and the first thing that came up was this top, and I was like, I love that top. I want that top. I have to have that top. And it's very, very rare for me to see things that I really love in that way. So I got it. I think it was £1.50. So that was £5.17 by the time you have the fee on top and postage. Then I spent £3.85 out of the Bristol budget. That was on a meal deal. I went down to Bristol on Tuesday and I've just come back today, which is Thursday. It's Thursday today. And I bought meal deals Tuesday and Wednesday. I went in to see my mum in the care home on Tuesday and Wednesday. She's not well. She's not well at all. So I bought the meal deal because that way I had the sandwich, which I ate in the car before I went into the care home. I had the bottle of coffee, which I bought in my bag. And then as I was there 2 hours, after a while I needed a drink. So I had the coffee and I just had the chocolate in my bag for later. And in case I needed it as a bit of a boost. I was doing an awful lot of running around when I was down with family this time. Then I have spent £5.19 on toiletries and cleaning. That's £1.19 on bleach, £1.25 on plasters, and £2.75 on indigestion tablets. And that was all covered in my previous video. And I've spent £15.69 on food. Again, that's covered in my previous video. £3.85 at one Tesco, £8.12 at Asda, £3.72 at the second Tesco. So that was £229.13. And let's have a look at how this affects my monthly spending. Every month I allocate £221 towards food, toiletries and cleaning, incidentals, petrol and phone for the month. As you can see, I've overspent on incidentals. I've spent £61.58. I had a budget of £50, so I've overspent £11.58. However, out of the £221, I spent £172.18 and have £48.82 remaining. I don't think I'll be spending a massive amount of money out of that budget for the remaining 10 days. I'll talk a bit about that later. My income for the month is £1,559.20. Let's go through how this spending has affected my annual budget. My annual budget covers the year from 1st of May 2025 to 30th of April 2026. As you can see, I've got income of £8,919.74. Out of my budget of £17,810, I have spent £7,857.93. This leaves me with £1,061.81 in my sinking fund to cover the £9,952.07 of remaining expenses. As I've said before, I'm going to go through at the end of the month how well I'm doing against my budget, because I do now have a budget that is split out for every month of the year. I'll just have a quick chat about the last 10 days of the month. So next week I may be going back down to Bristol, but that will come out of the Bristol budget. If I don't go back down to Bristol, if Mum turns around and starts to be better and I don't go back down to Bristol, then I'm going to have a very quiet 10 days. My plan is to start recording my food on my fitness plan, because I'm not really sure how I'm doing in terms of nutrition. I think I'm doing okay, but I thought if I put it in my fitness plan, I'll really see how well I'm doing, especially with the salt, because I'm trying to keep it low, but I'm not sure if I'm managing to keep it low overall. So I thought I'd just do my fitness plan, stay close to home, get a few things done that I need to get done. For instance, one of my family members has given me a bag of trousers that they need taking up. So that's plenty to be getting on with. I would just be doing that for the next 10 days, unless I go back down to Bristol, which I think is the more likely thing to happen. But I'll just see how the next couple of days go before I decide what I'm doing. Okay, so here's a video now of a shop I did earlier today. So I've just come back from doing a Sainsbury shop. I don't go to Sainsbury's very often. And very annoyingly, when I got back, I realised I hadn't scanned my Nectar card. Not only have I missed out on points, but one of these products is on a Nectar price. And I think I forgot to scan it because when I got to the till, there wasn't much space to put things. I only had a basket, but there wasn't much space on the bit that weighs your shopping for me to stack things. And I was really focusing on that. And I just completely forgot to scan my Nectar card, which was a real shame because while I was queuing, I got the app ready and I had to sign in again. And I did all that and got it all ready. And then I forgot to scan it. Anyway, I shall go through what I got. So the peppers are reduced. Yellow sticker. So they should have been £1.60 and they're 80p. And I'm very happy because there's 2 yellow peppers in there and 2 red and only 1 green. Then I got some Brussels sprouts. Original price £1. These are 24p. Then, oh no, this should have been Nectar price as well. This was £2. Nectar price was £1.50, but I didn't scan my card, so I had to pay the extra 50p. Stamford Street carrots, 60p. Sweet potato, Aldi price match, £1.49. There's a lot in there. I'm quite pleased with that. Now these are the other ones. Seedless grapes, £2. They had a Nectar price of £1.60, but of course I didn't get that, so that 40p is a loss to me as well. That's 90p I've lost by not scanning my card. These onions were Nectar price of 90p, but I paid £1.10, so that's 20p. That's £1.10 I've lost by not scanning my card. So annoying. I bought a milk jug because I do not have a jug in my house, and I do like this nice chunky style. I don't like the ones that narrow at the neck. I sometimes have my son for Sunday lunch, but that would do for gravy for both of us. Not that I have a lot of gravy, as you can imagine, because I'm avoiding salt, but it's porcelain as well. I do prefer porcelain because I find it quite tough if you drop it. So I thought £5 wasn't bad for that. And I got a loaf tin because I bought some bread flour a while back and some yeast, but I didn't have a loaf tin and I kept forgetting to get one. So £1.50 for that, the basics. And then I got some colouring books for the children that I've just been with because I might be going back there fairly soon. There's a Mega Puzzles dinosaur book. That was £1. And Gabby's Dollhouse Jumbo colouring book is £3.50. So that's my shopping. Total comes to £19.23. It would have been £18.13. Very sad. I wonder if I can get it back. I should think not, but I'll have a look into that. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time. Bye!